I'm Tony Winston, Jazz Piano College, and I'm happy to be back in the States, but I had a great trip to Portugal that lasted for 6 weeks, and I thought it was going to change my life, but it really didn't. I'm trying to get back into my usual routine. However, I'm finding that it doesn't really fit as well, so who knows, maybe my life has changed for the better. Anyway, hopefully it'll encourage me to do more videos and, keep the YouTube channel rolling along. What I'm going to talk about today is the Bebop scale, and I'm going to cover it in two keys, E flat and the key of D. And then, you can probably work it out yourself in the other 10 keys. And what I mean by the Bebop scale is, let's do it in C first. So, it's simply a major scale with an extra note thrown in here between the fifth and the sixth. And, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of based on this, like the block chord method, where you get that note that we added. But that's not really what we're talking about today. We're talking about an 8-note scale because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've added this note 6, 7, 8, and then we begin again. Now, what's the advantage of an 8-note scale? I've heard it said, and I don't really believe it, but that these scales kind of work out better. Like another scale that has 8 notes in it is the diminished scale, sometimes called the octatonic scale. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the Bebop scale. We're going to do it in E flat. And you probably know your major scales pretty well. I'm hoping you do. If you don't, that's the first step. But when we put this extra note in, we have to change the fingering. So in E flat, it works out this way. We cross, and it's really almost the same fingering, right? Normally we would go thumb there and end on 3, but since we're going to this note, that's our extra note right there. And look at it coming down, same fingering, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, an interesting thing about this. Suppose we're doing a 2-5-1. Where does the scale go? Does it go on the 2 chord? Can it go on the 5 chord? Or should it go on the 1 chord? It can go on all 3. And, if you're struggling to do something like the Dorian mode, and then like, say, an altered scale, or the diminished scale, or the diminished scale, or the diminished scale, and then back to the major scale. Instead of trying to mix all those scales together, you can just use this one scale, the Bebop scale, and it will make your line sound pretty good. If you do a 2-5-1, you can use E flat or E flat major over the whole thing, right, over the 2 chord, over the 5 chord, and over the 1 chord. But you can use the Bebop scale all over those, and we're using just the major scale is going to sound a little bit on the amateurish side, unless you come up with a really great melody, which is possible. Using the Bebop scale will give it a little bit of spice. All right, let's see if we can work out some lines here. So as far as coming out in the right place, this is what I've heard people say, that if you have it comes out on a note that's pretty good. Whereas if you just use the major scale, it comes out differently. And here's the thing, it wouldn't come out wrong if you started here, right, with just the major scale. But if you use the Bebop scale, the 8-note scale, it comes out right. Now, why does it tend to come out right more often than not? Because when we go for say we're improvising, we're on F minor, and maybe we're going to play a scale going up or going down, we tend to start on one of the chord tones, right? We tend to. We don't have to. We can start on any note really in the scale. But suppose we start on the C. And we come out on B flat. And you see, it came out wrong. So let's do the bebop scale. You don't really want to come out on the root. We tend to like to come out on a hipper note than that. But anyway, that's the theory behind it. But for me, I think you just get a sense of where you're going to end, and if it doesn't end quite in the right place, you just keep going or fix it some other way, or don't worry about it. Okay, so some lines. Now, see, I came down like this, and then I didn't really have a good fingering. I could have crossed with 5, I guess. So the fingering I told you about, 4, 3, 2, 1, it'll work if you're just, starting on the right note with the right finger, but a lot of times when you're improvising, that doesn't happen. So how could I work it out? It's a tough problem. And actually, an alternate fingering is, and maybe you learned this, is 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I feel bad when Now, I was playing, what song was I playing? I was playing Wave. And I was thinking, and I had just been practicing the bebop scale in E flat, so I said, well, what is it in D? And then so I worked it out, but then I didn't find too many places in this song actually to use it. But you can use it. But maybe we could take... I've got the world on a string. So there I used it. What did I do? The fingering is 3, 1, and then 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. All right, so now, secrets of the masters. They play really fast. How do they do it? They use 3 fingers. 1, 2, and 3. They don't use the 4 and the 5 that much. And, like a lot of those Art Tatum riffs are just 2 fingers, and a lot of them just 3 fingers. So that's one of the secrets. Yeah, if you're like doing a real up-tempo tune and you're trying to do all this stuff with your 4th and 5th finger, unless you're Keith Jarrett, and even Keith, I'm sure, when he does something really fast, primarily on the first 3 fingers, I would bet. So suppose you started here with 3, 2, 1, then 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Just remember 3, 1 or 2, 1 to set it up again. All right, so like some of those didn't really quite work out, but I just kept going and made them work out. So that's the idea there. And it's kind of nice because, like, there's bebop scales for different chords, like minor chords and dominant chords, but I never think of them. I never think of those because those are just passing notes that are kind of stuck in. The one that really makes sense is the one on the major scale, right? And so if you use that on the 2 chord, you get that passing step here instead of, I think, is where they tend to put it if they're doing an E minor bebop scale. But let's see, that sounds great, just putting it right there. What about on the 5 chord? Well, it comes between the 9th and the flat 9. So, that's a good place for it also. So there I put it. I did the D major one. And then, you know, the A bebop scale has got that in it. So I put that in. And that worked out pretty nicely too. But you don't have to do that. It worked out. I'm so happy. All right. All right, everybody, that's going to be a wrap for me, and it's good to see you all again. I got some ideas for some pretty nice videos. If you got some ideas for me, please let me know in the comments or contact me over on my Patreon page, which I haven't even looked at for like a month, so hopefully I've got a few folks left over there, and we'll see what's what. All right, everyone, have a great week. Talk at you soon. Bye-bye.